And we are live-ish from the whatever the bunker in Colorado Springs and the Purple Mountains Majesty of Philadelphia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's just the two of us right now, and two in the room. But I'm gonna pull up a list of things for us to talk about. First, is the U.S. leading in medals yet? It looked like China was going to kick our ass.
I think the last time I looked, China was, but not anymore.
Huh.
Because we just got a bunch from tennis. I know that the Williams sisters won.
Ah. Because it's okay to have professionals in there now.
Yeah. I like the name of the Chinese trampoline guy. His name's Dom Dom.
Dom. Dom.
Dom Dom.
Wow.
Women's polo one?
Well, I learned that the person who made the T-shaped IUD intrauterine device, his name was actually Lips. Yeah, Lippes, but I was like, that's like the toilet being invented by John Crapper, you know?
Yeah.
So, Bolivia today is going to ban Coca-Cola to mark the end of capitalism in their country. So there will be no more Coke.
They don't like Coke, huh?
Yeah.
You think they'll close the McDonald's?
Yeah, probably.
I read an interesting thing, that McDonald's plans to open a new restaurant every day for the next 3 years in China.
Wow.
It was amazing.
Well, I imagine they're going to have a different menu, because they do in other countries. They have like pizza at McDonald's in some countries. So, and in the Middle East they have chicken burgers. You know, because cows are sacred. Some places, you know, especially with third country nationals coming in to work in Arab countries. You know, they bring all of their beliefs with them. So McDonald's serves chicken burgers a lot.
Well, at least they're not trying to force, totally different culture on them.
Actually, I have it right in front of me that last year Bolivia became the second Latin American country to not have a single McDonald's.
Yeah, that's what made me think of it.
They were unable to turn a profit in the country for a decade, so...
That's strange. Well, I guess people don't have a whole lot of money there either.
Yeah.
It's a pretty poor country, if I remember right.
So they're going to have this Coca-Cola ban in Bolivia. This is why I'm drinking a Coca-Cola rather than a Mountain Dew today. They're going to have this Coca-Cola ban as a rejection of U.S. capitalism, and it's a symbol of equality for them. And they're going to have it coincide with the end of the Mayan calendar.
My main focus on the Olympics this year, when I was watching, was judo and ping pong.
Why ping pong? Was there a hottie playing ping pong?
No, I always played ping pong. I used to play in ping pong tournaments when I was younger. I played regular tennis too.
Oh, ping pong because hacky sack isn't an Olympic sport yet.
Yeah, I used to do that too.
You know why? Because I'm psychic. That's why.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch this play. And now with this great, all these HD streams you can watch and stuff, you can actually see the ball.
So I'm looking at other panelists right now. Fuck.
Yeah, we'll use up all the topics before anybody gets here.
Yeah, well, I only did 2, and I cannot run out of topics.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Everyone drink a Coca-Cola. We're now up to 10 viewers. 5 people with balls that signed in. And 5 troll hang-around people.
They might be from the home page.
One of our panelists just had to drop out because he's having a heated discussion with the wifey. So, looking to the group, we've got iCallants, and he always has a pretty entertaining motor mouth. So, I think we're gonna have to add him. So
I think Andy just got here too. I don't know if he wants to be in it, but he might just.
Well, Happy can tell us if he wants to join, but we're going to go ahead with what we're going to do anyway. iCallants, you are added to the call if you want to join too. Let's see. We'll go ahead and add Bob.
What's going on? What's up?
Hey, what's up?
Next topic we had on the list to discuss was Germany has actually ruled just today that homosexual couples must receive a tax benefit that is available to heterosexual married couples.
Why is Germany ahead of America in that? I don't understand that shit.
Well, you know, I've heard a lot about fashion when they come and visit our country. They're like, oh, we had that like 10 years ago with fashion. You know, a lot of different countries seem to think that they're ahead of us in those respects. But
In fashion?
yeah, as far as social justice issues, there's a lot of countries that are ahead of us in some ways and behind us in others.
I agree. Exile wanted to. Do you want to invite Exile to the call?
We're talking politics.
I mean, I think she's a pro-sex feminist. That's pretty political, I would mention.
You do have a point. She can chime in on that.
Alright.
Let's see.
Okay.
But I did learn that Venezuela had open service in their military for homosexual people before the U.S. did. But it's like they got all of their leap forward ahead of the U.S. with one bill that passed in like 1999, and they had like no progress since then, and now they're starting to regress.
Seriously?
Yeah. And it has a lot to do with the statism that's going on in Venezuela right now, where, you know, they're basically becoming a communist country, step by step.
Oh, wow.
And while Germany is now ahead of us, where homosexual couples must receive a tax benefit, you know, that's the same as married couples. They're not saying that they have to allow them to get married and get the same benefits. They're saying there's these other people that are married that are heterosexual, and we're going to give these same benefits to homosexual couples. Not exactly give them marriage, but give them the same benefit.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's still some distance to go with progress there.
I see.
Where is this that you're talking about?
This is in Germany.
Germany?
Yes, just today.
I like Grey Tex's idea. I think we should just change marriage around and let people make contracts between each other that, you know, they're going to be living together and, you know, whatever contract they want to make up. And then people who want to get married in a church, the church marriage is just that. It's a church marriage. It's a binding contract between you and your God, right?
Mm-hmm.
The two people and God. But everything else that's negotiated with couples, or even more than two people, are negotiated legally.
And Exiled, I'm jumping on the WoW now, by the way.
What server are you on?
I'm on Illidan. What server are you on?
Borean Tundra.
Alright, I can actually transfer that.
Yeah? I don't know why you would at the end of the patch.
Oh, that's actually a good point.
It's like the servers really suck right now because of that. It's that, you know what I mean? It's like
awesome.
End of patch time.
Yeah, actually it does suck during this time.
Last week we had this call that's supposed to be
Germany's
for...
actually quite... Oh, I'm sorry, Mike. Go ahead.
Yeah, we had this call that's supposed to be for a voter registration drive devolve into drama last week, and now we have it into World of Warcraft hookup.
What, voter registration drive?
Yes.
Seriously?
Yes, that's the name of this show, Voting in Action. You know,
No, I mean, it devolved last week in the drama?
Yeah, the first of the hate club calls was actually this Blogtv. And now we are hooking people up with World of Warcraft. So we're doing something.
Are you in a blog? Am I in a Blogtv right now?
Yes.
Oh, hi everybody. I don't know.
Yes, you were brought in because we're talking about the recent advancement in Germany.
And you're a pro-sex feminist, so I thought you'd be.
Okay, so I'm on the link that you just linked us.
I thought you were you were a very active person politically yourself, since you're a pro-sex feminist. So I was like, hey, drag Exile into the hole.
Yeah, yeah. The marriage thing comes up a lot with the sex worker debate. Yeah, that's why I like what I said about changing the way we legislate marriage and contracts between married people. That's what I think we should be doing, instead of allowing gay people to buy into the same messed up system that we already have. But like, you know, if they're gonna get tax benefits and that sort of thing, that's all cool. I'm reading this right now as we speak.
Whoops.
So there is a report right now it's kind of shady to me, but a guy is claiming that the Surrey police that were watching the Olympic cyclists, they arrested him for having Parkinson's and not smiling as the bikes went by. So,
wait, did you see Scap's video?
no, I did not know that there was a video.
About Start Making Sense.
No. Didn't come here to talk about that.
I'm sorry, I was just... Because it was in response, I'm sorry. Sorry about that.
Yeah. It's difficult. It's difficult to try to stay on topic with something and not and have anything without drama from groups pouring into it, you know?
Alright, sorry about that.
So we're headed down this road where if you don't smile at the right time, police can now consider you a terror suspect.
Oh my God.
What?
Yeah, which is really horrible for Exiled because, you know, yeah, she sounds like she's laughing right now, but I guarantee you there's no corners of her lip moving up. No, it's very rare that she smiles. So
That's not true.
I've watched your videos.
You do look very serious a lot.
Yes.
Do I? Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to pay
You look
attention to that.
serious a lot, you know? I mean...
I do have photographic evidence that she has smiled before, though.
Alright,
I smile all the time. Link me your Blogtv so we can come in here and see what people are saying. Oh.
So the Blogtv, I try to write it every week on Wednesday, and basically, if people aren't registered to vote, I yell at them a lot. And other than that, we're just talking about politics and things that happen all over the world. But not smiling will get you arrested now.
Okay.
Okay, I don't
smile,
think,
Rob.
but is it like one? Is this an occurrence or just like one instance? Because I don't want to devolve into like, oh my God, the police are coming after me because I'm not smiling or something. When it could just be one, you know, instance.
Is this the Guardian
Yeah.
link?
Mm-hmm.
What if you have bad teeth and you don't like this one?
Exactly.
Yeah, they
Well,
can be held against it.
I imagine if people were watching the World Trade Center going down and they saw a group of people all high-fiving, you know, that would be an indicator of like, holy shit, we better tackle those fuckers and do a citizen's arrest. But
Okay, actually, I can kind of see that.
But this
person
guy,
having a bad day is just gonna have a worse day after that.
yeah. But can you imagine what if he's supporting one team and the team that he's supporting isn't winning, and he's not happy about that?
That guy had Parkinson's. Jeez and crew.
Yeah.
Well, did you see that thing about France?
No, what happened in France?
Apparently, a woman legislator was wolf whistled at by all the other male, and you get jail time. They want to make a law where they can put you in jail for up to 2 years for whistling at a woman.
I mean, that's a stupid law, but it won't pass, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. It's France.
Yeah, France seems to be getting more and more feministy, liberal.
Wait,
Like
feminist?
I know that France is also considering, and I don't know if they have accepted this yet, but they're trying to get the Swedish model and this is, pertaining to sex work. They're trying to get the Swedish model passed in their country. So yeah.
What is the Swedish model? I've heard of that. Can I ask her what the Swedish model is?
Yeah, the Swedish model essentially criminalizes the clients of sex workers while allowing sex workers...
Noob, you're echoing.
Am I echoing?
No, it was Noob.
Yeah. It just criminalizes the clients. Women can do no wrong. Women are the victims in this. The clients are the bad guys. There's a whole philosophy behind it, including the literal statement, women don't sell sex. That's one of the things I've heard. Radical feminists in Sweden, Swedish radical feminists saying, and they'll do anything. They'll do anything to destroy prostitution, and just totally abolish it. They're abolitionists.
Oh wow, that's what Divinity was pissed off about in that video. I remember that.
Yeah, that's what we've been debating for. They were debating that for like a year and a half.
I was very much surprised to see how much of an industry there is in my own city. I live right down the street from Focus on the Family, and in my own city, there are websites that are, even Craigslist can be bad, but there's some websites where you get on there and the industry is booming. Still.
Even in this market, even in this terrible economy, because like all the time that I was doing, the economy was booming, and I was wondering how it was working these days, because I don't know. I mean, I have no clue. But apparently, it's still going strong. And what's the Focus of the Family have to say about it?
They pretend like this is a bastion of conservatism in this part of the state. This whole county is supposedly that way, but it's still 50-50, just like every other city that you live in, Especially since we're surrounded by the military, and they bring in new people all the time that weren't, raised in the mega churches around here.
Where do you live, Michael?
Colorado Springs, Colorado.
I thought that was a really conservative area.
Conservative enough that no Republican really has to worry about anything but getting past the primaries to get to the actual election, and then they just dominate.
Yeah.
But
that's bad.
It is, and that's why instead of being their own party, the Libertarian Party took to becoming Republicans just to try to win a Republican primary within their system, and then win the election, and then switch back to being a Libertarian. Because there was no way they were going to squeeze out any sort of win at all in this state.
I mean,
other than taking over another party.
Well, when it comes to a three-party system, it's kind of a cutthroat situation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Tomorrow night I'll be filming a Green Party forum on Middle East peace.
Isn't the Green Party left? The Green Party is left, isn't it? Or is it right? Because I was always confused about where the Green Party was.
Super left. Be like progressive.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
Michael, are you a part of the Green Party?
I am actually registered Republican right now. I can't change it until I am done being a polling place coordinator.
Alright, you told me about this like a few days ago.
Yeah, I was a delegate in all the assemblies in my state, and it was a great experience, but yeah, I knew platform-wise there's not really a party for me, but experiencing some of the things I did with them there's a lot of things that I just cannot abide by, that I actually was filming when it happened. Like the log cabin Republican who got booed off of the stage at the state assembly just for being gay and getting up on stage and talking to them. Half the crowd started booing, and you know, there was a hot girl who was sitting right next to me, and she lost all of her hot girl points. You know, I was like, my heart sunk. I was like, you were pretty just like 1 minute ago. What happened? And like she, like her inner blackness of her heart just like turned her into like a troll for me for the rest of that night. So, yeah, it was horrible.
You never know what's going on inside people's heads, you know?
Yeah.
You might be able to change your mind.
That was what was my ex? My ex Paris. She thought she didn't have an issue with bisexual women, but when she found out I was bisexual, she was like disgusted by me as a person. I didn't even know this, but she found out there. But apparently she has like a deep disgust for bisexual men because it's like close, because she also has a disgust for homosexual men. So,
Huh.
Oh my god.
when I found that out, I was pissed off about it, but I mean, I didn't get a chance to say anything to her because she stopped talking to me and just like kind of removed me from her life completely. So, I mean, there was nothing to be said.
Oh my god, I can't believe you. How long were you in a relationship with that person?
Like 3 years. She never knew.
Oh my god.
That's the thing, though. She never knew. It's amazing that she never knew. The whole thing seems ridiculous because how can you be I was in a relationship with her for that long, but she never knew that I was bisexual. But again, I guess that's because during that time I was dating mostly women, so
Right.
she didn't know. But when she found out, she just got really disgusted by me.
Oh man, that's messed up. Sorry that happened to you.
No problem. I mean,
I'm not laughing. I just think the 3 years is a long time. Damn.
it is. It's like that completely surprised me. Why? I just didn't understand. So I can kind of understand what this guy is going through when he was booed, but
I wasn't the log cabin Republican. That wasn't me, but I saw it happen, you know, and I was just like, in a couple weeks, I'm going to take that clip out of that 6-hour-long video, and take that clip and just put it out there again, just to let everyone know, you know, we say that it's the extremist in the Republican Party that is anti-gay. I've got a video clip of half of their delegates to the state booing.
Right. Yeah.
These delegates are picked by their neighborhoods, by their precincts to represent them. These are the cream of the crop, you know. These are the ones who are representing everyone else booing.
All right, but states are allowed to have more extreme, I guess, Republican candidates, though, because you're not really representing the country, so you're allowed to have.
Well, I tell you what, if it weren't for half of the crowd actually being Ron Paul supporters, the other half of the crowd were actually Santorum supporters who were very sad that he had suspended his campaign. And they were, like, swallowing their pride to vote for Romney delegates to go to national. So, you know, if it weren't for Ron Paul's group, you know, that were basically libertarians trying to take over their party, if it weren't for those people being there, there would have been a lot more boos.
Well, the Republican Party really does whatever it can to try to get people to fall into line, you know, to accept their, you know, basically their focus on the family, which is essentially anti-gay marriage.
I have the video of Dr. Dobson supporting Rick Santorum and endorsing him as a candidate, and that endorsement came like 1 week before our caucus, and Santorum won the state based on that.
Ironically enough, though, as a liberal and a Democrat, a lot of us actually somewhat envy Republicans because we have we don't really have a lot of organization in our party, or let alone our spectrum. So, and Republicans just seem so much more like, you know, aggressive and shit, and just like, I'll punch you in the fucking face if you know.
Well, a really good example of that is the Chick-fil-A Appreciation Day. That started as a protest day, and the other side decided to make it an appreciation day to basically have supporters there right across from the protesters. And all across the country, the protesters didn't show up, and it completely backfired on them. And it was so bad in my state where we have people going around with these they're trying to get a ballot initiative on the ballot, and they had until 2 days ago, right? That's when they had to turn in all of their signatures. This ballot initiative that they wanted to get on the ballot was the Personhood Amendment that would end abortion. And all they had to do was go down to Chick-fil-A, and all the supporters around there were signing that thing left and right. You know, that was like a free day for, like, in my state you have to have 87,000 signatures, and then a whole bunch of them are going to get disqualified, so you have to get like 150,000 signatures. And companies are paid to get these signatures by people like Focus on the Family. Those people that get those signatures and get paid like $3 per signature, all they had to do is go to Chick-fil-A. You know, and they had their quota for the week. You know?
You'd never get that kind of, like... I'm sorry, it's, what were you saying?
I just agreed. I just said, yeah. That's the problem with what Ron Paul did. Or not Ron Paul, Jesus Christ. Rahm Emanuel. Making that... He screwed up big time, and I haven't even seen a retraction from him about his Chick-fil-A statements. Has anybody else?
No.
Nope.
I haven't seen any. I've been looking for it too. I'm like, he needs to clarify his position, please. No. Nothing.
I don't think that should be, personally, as far as politics goes. I know it's a big issue, but I don't think it should be the main issue.
Well, if you look at the Republican Party platform, like in Texas, Texas one is really detailed. I was looking at it the other day. It's on their agenda. This is stuff that they're constantly, you know,
and
constantly pushing.
We had resolutions to vote for to pass on to the National Convention, and there was a sheet of like 70 different things to vote for, and I didn't want this girl next to me that had booed for the Log Cabin Republican. I didn't want her to see my ballot as I was filling it out, because basically the thing was written so that if you were one of her, you would check yes on everything. You'd fill in the circle for yes. And half the things on this thing I wanted to circle no. So I was like skipping questions, you know? And then as I was walking to the ballot box, I was like filling in all the rest with no. And there were two things that did not pass with the 75% that they would need to pass these ideas onto national, and that was the Personhood Amendment and being against medical marijuana. Both of those things had like 50% support, and I could tell that they had that because, you know, there was another party trying to take over their party who had taken over all the delegates, and it's not going to be as well. Those two things will probably pass the next time and be sent on to national to be values that they represent, because I don't see anyone energizing libertarians like Ron Paul does.
Just get a libertarian candidate who's like, hey, legalize weed, you're good.
Actually, the Green Party does that.
I don't. I probably should know who they are, but I really don't know that much about the Green Party. I don't. I know dick about them as far as the party goes.
They were the party of Ralph Nader.
Didn't they have the daisy as their logo? Is that them?
I think.
Let me look them up. Green.
Wasn't it a daisy a long time ago, or a flower of some kind?
Yeah.
Maybe a sunflower.
So.
Let's see.
They're very progressive, though.
Yeah. And
yeah, it's a flower. It's a green flower with the earth as the center. Here, I'll link you. It's so cute.
Okay, see.
I don't know if Rosie O'Donnell was going to run for the Green Party Palace. I don't know.
Your party should not. Your party platform should not have exile going. That's so adorable. Oh my
Look how
God.
cute.
Yeah, well.
I know a little bit about the Green Party in Iran.
I can see like a donkey giving an elephant a run for its money in a fight, but if there's a flower in between them on the ground, that fucker's getting stomped.
Seriously, it's like a party. I imagine that the party mascot should, I don't know, send a message. Instead, it's just like, that's so adorable. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Such a nice party.
I mean,
how can you not be for them? They deplore violence.
Yes.
And what else? Let's see.
They like weed.
They like They like freedom, right? Everybody likes freedom.
They like the environment too. I knew that.
Yeah, that's what I learned about the Iran Green Party. I was really rooting for them when they were rioting or protesting. Excuse me, a few years back, I guess.
It's interesting. I probably have more in common with the Green Party than I do Democrats or whatever, but I'm more of a pragmatic type of person. So it's like, since they don't really have much of a chance of winning, I'll just go with Democrat.
Well, remember, Chrissy the World Within got attacked for suggesting that people vote for a third party.
No.
Rithand got both.
Well, if your reason for doing it is because you believe in that third party, then that's fine. If your reason for doing it is just for voting for a third party as a protest, you should really rethink that. You know.
And the problem is that when you do like take votes away from Obama, you do get Romney closer to the White House, and I don't want a Romney. I don't want Romney as a president. I don't. That dude is.
Well, I can tell you as a delegate for the Republican Party, I was trying to get rid of Bachmann, Rick Perry, and Rick Santorum. Those were the three that I decided. Anyone else who made it for the Republican Party was worlds ahead of those three.
And I didn't want Bachmann to win because that chick is insane. she says, apparently she hid in the bushes of a gay pride parade march. I mean, her in the White House would be insane. It'd be like a giant circus. It'd be like a giant party every day.
Well, I guess the major concern is the Supreme Court justices. Is Obama, right? We got to get there's a couple of possibilities of justices stepping down now, and we need them big time.
I can see that.
So we can't have a third party candidate. We can't risk it.
Bring back Ross Perot.
Well, let me show you some of these graphs. And here, this is how we're going to do it.
Seriously, there is no risk, in my estimation, this election year. There are a lot of Republicans who are registered Republicans who are probably going to still be registered Republican for the election, but they're going to go up into that polling booth and write in Ron Paul's name. The Ron Paul vote, I would estimate right now, in many states will be over 1%. And I see Obama winning by a huge landslide. And it's because of the Republican Party being so fragmented. There's a girl
You
I
never
just...
know. You never know. The Democrats can still screw things up. They're well known for doing that.
Well, there's a girl I just found out she has a...
Healthcare and
I just found out she has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, they are horrible.
They messed everything up.
Jennifer Warhawk, she's the Colorado Santorum grassroots organizer. She is so pissed off that Romney is the presumptive nominee. She won't even call him the nominee yet. She's still like presumptive. I can understand a Ron Paul supporter doing that because Ron Paul hasn't dropped out.
Right.
But Santorum is done. But the way,
for her, though.
yeah, for her, it's like, and for a lot of people, Romney and Obama are so close together on the political chart. They're just on opposite sides of that fine line, but in the moderate range, and they want extremist Republicans like Santorum. So they consider Obama and Romney to be the same person. So she's pissed, and I'm about to go down her YouTube videos and start responding because it's fun. The last time I made a video about her, it was just on an email that she sent out because I'm on the Santorum newsletter list. Yeah. I made 2 videos about her, and she has actually accused me of having a crush on her. And it was just today that I found out she had a YouTube channel. It was just today that I saw her face in a video. I didn't know what she looked like. You know what? She kind of looks like Bionic Dance's long-lost cousin.
Oh, ew.
She doesn't dye her hair, but I will bring it up in a Ponage video that she does look awful lot like Bionic Dance.
Exile, you've seen the video, right?
No.
Okay. I'm not going to speak about it any more than that, but I do want to send Exile the video.
Oh, yes, I've seen that video. I will never click on that again.
Alright.
It was wrong. Just pure wrongness.
No, just as much as you can get this vibe from Kate that she is playing for the other team, and she's a very strong, proud woman, and just like you get that same vibe from Michelle Bachmann's husband, that he is basically using her to pass as heterosexual because he sets off your gaydar. Like, wow, holy crap.
Yeah, he does.
This girl, she's supporting Santorum. I'm like, how? That's a lot of self-hate, really.
But then, look at GOP Pride.
Yeah.
So, and I've noticed that constantly we get a lot of shit from gay Republicans
Yes.
for supporting Democrats. They despise the Democratic Party.
They're-
And
JT's in the audience, and he's saying that it's kind of ironic that I'm talking about gaydar, because it's probably the case that we're setting off each other's gaydar. We have like a bro crush on each other right now. He smiles a lot. I like it. I like that he smiles a lot. But
Romance.
yeah, bromance. That's what we call it.
Yeah, I'm probably helping by being the only female in here.
hey, I like you. Hey, I like you, Exile. There you go.
Aw, I can't believe we like each other now. You're like one of my favorite people after the hate club thing. Isn't that weird?
I am the coolest person in the hate club. You know it's true.
I know, and I was like, who is that guy? Who is he? He's like, that's my count. What? That guy hates me. I like him. Now I really can't let him hate me.
And oh yeah, and apparently I have a motor mouth. That's what I heard?
Yeah, that was me. I said that. If we need someone to talk to fill in the gaps, I know we can count on you. You know,
That's not good.
I believe in the power of Icalents.
I think I'll probably be a little more quiet, less talkative from now on.
Oh,
No.
man.
We're using you, really. We're using you as filler.
Don't go changing.
Yeah, we need talkers. If it's just me and Mike, it will leave.
I'm the worst conversationalist. I'm terrible. That's what I mean.
So I've got an issue to bring up with you guys.
Alright.
This would be a libertarian value that you guys can look at. What happened is there is a blacklist in the UK about political views. Like if someone has showed up at a protest march for something, people are actually like filming and snapping pictures and trying to match people on Facebook. They're following people on Facebook who share pictures from stuff. They've created this blacklist database, and certain corporations won't hire people if they're on the list. Right? And I know that this could happen to me. I've worked as a journeyman electrician for years now, and going from one refinery to another in South Texas, basically you could get on a blacklist and their blacklist had more to do with like if you were sick all the time, or you faked a work injury, or you had a real work injury and it got paid out a lot, and then you're trying to come back to work. If you claimed on an injury, those companies don't want to have you back because you are a liability to them, because you know how the system works.
Are you arrested for this, or just...
No,
you
you're
just
not
get
hired.
right?
You can't get hired once you're put on the blacklist.
Okay, because
But-
I thought that, like, if I was insert person here, that I'll be thrown in jail or something.
Yeah, this blacklist that they have in the UK is actually for political protests, and this could happen with me with a job with a refinery, where they could see that I've filmed fracking protesters, because my night job, my job that hardly pays, is I write a column, and sometimes I just film protests because it's newsworthy. I don't exactly have to agree with everything they're saying, you know. It's just something that I like. It's interesting. So I go out and I film it, and then I write about it. And I could get blacklisted in my day job, where they might think that I support all of these different issues. Some of these issues even on opposite sides of each other, you know. But they could figure that I'm an activist, and I might, I guess, I don't know. If I was in a slaughterhouse, I might film the cows getting killed and then turn over the footage to Greenpeace. You know. So they've got these blacklists, but apparently in the UK they're getting even worse. And this is something that the libertarians in my city would be very scared of. They're the kind of people that they don't like Social Security numbers, because it was originally intended to be just for Social Security, but now it's for everything. They don't want the mark of the beast to happen. A lot of them are religious, and they anything that's like the mark of the beast, you know, where you're going to be tagged with something for life, they don't like. And this is one of those things. If you're on these blacklists, how long do you stay on this blacklist? Forever. And as soon as you get on, you can't get off. You can't get a job. There are actually lawyers in Louisiana that put up billboards. So I know they're making money suing companies that aren't hiring people that are able-bodied and want to go back to work. You know, there's people suing companies because they can't find a job, because they're on these blacklists.
Is this the government doing this, or is
No,
companies?
These are companies, but they share these lists between each other, like they would like some companies share mailing lists.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, now that unions are completely busted up on a grand scale, They can get away with that kind of thing. No problem.
Yeah.
You guys are probably all too young to remember back when we used to have unions. It was union workers.
I actually am a union electrician.
Yeah. Oh, are you? Okay.
And in South Texas, whenever a hurricane comes through, the people that are rebuilding in all the refineries in Beaumont and then in Lake Charles, Louisiana, those people are mostly from unions, but it's like the work ebbs and flows. But when the work comes, the only people that they can get that are skilled labor that can do the job in the amount of time they need is the union, because they can put out a call all over the country and bring in people for overtime hours, getting paid per diem. They have that kind of draw. So that's what they need, because these companies, as soon as a natural disaster happens, they have their own insurance company.
Right.
It's some sort of loophole where they can actually own their own insurance company, and then as soon as a disaster happens, they use the repair money in order to basically expand and rebuild, like better than it was before. So it's a scam, but when those coffers open, when they get to use that money, it's millions that they're not going to miss. They want the job done as quickly as possible. If they have to get people to work 24/7 and sleep at the refinery and fly in steaks for them, they will do it.
It's heavily subsidized by the other policyholders.
Oh shit, it's a low-living apprentice. Well,
Hey, what's up?
What's up, bro?
Hey. How's it going?
IG would like to be added to the call.
Nobody wants IG here because he's not cool enough. IG isn't cool, that's why he's not here.
I'm
Well,
not
what
surprised.
about Zuckerberg? Why doesn't he get off his ass and do something with his 28 billion already? I mean, he could prevent a lot of this himself.
He's in it for
personally.
the money.
He doesn't do shit. Well, I guess he's not going to do anything now that's a public company. Half those companies probably own the majority of Facebook now anyway,
Yeah.
Yeah, which is a partial surveillance tool, and
I hate Facebook.
turning the blacklist.
Why do you hate Facebook?
Because I've suspected for the longest time that they're gathering information just like
Just
mad. Yeah, that,
I knew
that
from
we
the
don't
get-go.
know.
I use that information. I use that information for my job a lot of the time. And
I was right.
it's there's actually been some new advances in paradigms in the way that they're utilizing the information. It's part of the reason why Google Plus wants to do the expose your name.
Right. And I don't want to do that.
I have 2 Facebooks myself, and it's because my family and friends don't need to be harassed by people that believe in the same cause as I do. But I'm actually thinking of changing my Facebook that I use for YouTube and online and stuff back to just my username rather than my real name, because I don't want anything to affect my...
It's too late. You're already
you think
in the
it's too
trap.
late?
It's too late.
Well, I've had a
Gotcha.
few job offers before, and I just want to... like my other Facebook account that just has my family and close friends from high school and stuff.
Yeah.
That one is pre-clean. I never put anything on that.
No, me and DM Crispin have been watching you. It's too late now.
Exactly. Hey, I want his details. I want his details. I want to know who Mike talks to all the time.
It'd be hard to screenshot everything I do now because I linked all my accounts. So if I like something on YouTube, it goes out on my Twitter, it goes out on my Facebook. I share so much like that everything gets buried. All my dirt gets buried under my other dirt.
That's true. We were having trouble keeping up with you.
You weren't having trouble keeping up with Ash, though.
No, that was easy.
Oh, I see I've been replaced.
Of course.
Please by who?
You weren't replaced. All right.
I'll just quickly say what I was going to say before my laptop overheated. It's an effort really to get better use of the correlative data from doing that. The whole creating a more civil environment is kind of like a cover. It's just a cover. We'll all yap about it and not pay any attention to what's being done with the data they're collecting and what the improvements they can make by exposing the names with the Google+.
My greatest fear from it is actually that they will find out that I have, little jobs that I do that make a little money on the side, like my column with the Examiner, and they'll say, well, he's a kind of a risk to not stay with the company because, he could have a windfall, from somewhere else where he just doesn't want to work anymore. He could have some success in that other job.
Well, it's actually already been a trend. In Fortune magazine, I think May, they had a large article about this new sort of culture with employees, upgrading in their jobs. Their job could be pretty good already, but it's already a concern across the board. I don't know if they factor that in, if they look at information they have on you, but it's already something they're trying to deal with in the corporate world. So they actually restructure the way they do their hiring, and they're actually implementing new practices to try to get better employee retention. I think it was May in Fortune magazine. I read it on the train. I don't normally read Fortune magazines, just so you know. It's left on the seat. Free mag, not old. It's good.
So, I'm just worried that, no one has the same job that they started out with anymore. And I worked for GE for a while. And when I got that job, I was like, yay, I'm going to be one of those lifers. And I worked for them for 5 years before they sold me down the river. They told me one day, either you can resign or you can take this job with this other company that we just sold your little company to. And so my pension was immediately vested, and basically I became an employee of another company without even wanting to leave.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah. They don't care about you. They're just shuffling the dollars, man.
Well, what they do is they kick you off to a little company that they know will trim the fat, get rid of all the benefits that the workers have, get rid of all the pay, the good pay. They'll kick out all the old people that might be pensioners. And then what happens is a couple years later, these bigger corporations will buy that little company back as soon as it's profitable again. And they've basically renegotiated without renegotiating with you. And they can boast that, oh, we never cut anyone's salary. We never cut anyone's pension. But basically they're selling these companies off so that they can let them do their thing for 3 or 4 years and then bring them back in under the GE umbrella.
Yeah, there's also like tax benefits, and when they do their quarterly reports and stuff, they work that stuff to put the best face forward to investors. One thing I've always wanted was some sort of legislation preventing renegotiation of contracts, especially with union workers. I know that the case is often made that in the auto industry, that really wouldn't be possible. But I think something needs to be done. If you make an agreement, that's the agreement you should be sticking by. And clauses that allow this sort of unmonitored or pretty much unregulated, they own, like if they bring in an ombudsman or an arbitrator, they pretty much own that person because they'll put that in their contract.
Oh, yeah.
Like, yeah, we'll have an arbitrator, but it's their friggin' guy. They're gonna, work it to death to get what they want.
Well, I mean, even in the university, I was in a situation where they went ahead and negotiated certain terms, and then as soon as the deal was done, they just went back on their, the things that they had agreed to in arbitration.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, whatever. They just do what they want. Just do what they own you. They own the company.
I can't break that joke.
Mm-hmm.
Well,
It would be racist.
Oh,
But
thank
quite
you.
timely.
Let's spread the racism around, guys.
Really?
Yeah. Well, I hope everybody knows I have a issue with white guilt. I
Mhm.
hope that it's sometime before the year's over I do make a substantive video on my views on white guilt.
Do Aborigines count as white people?
You know, I really should look into that. But no, they don't.
No count.
Okay.
He told me I looked like I was Aborigine because I got a lot of gray hair. I was in the sun. And he's like,
He was in the sun, and I thought his hair was blonde. Like, black man, blonde hair. That's Aborigines, right?
Or black albino.
Blonde-haired black man.
behind blue eyes, man. Behind blue eyes. I really got blue eyes. I'm just wearing brown contact lenses.
He is the. Well, Hitler told us about the perfect man.
So,
There's actually a black albino comedian that one of his first lines usually is, "All right, let's hear it for all the black albinos out there." And nobody says anything. It's like just stayed quiet. He's like, "Yeah, that's what I thought. That's what I thought."
wow.
Yeah.
He was actually in Julian Donkey Boy, and he's a rapper too. I can't think of his name.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, that sounds awesome, actually. There's a lot of comedic
Think of his
possibilities
name.
with that.
So, the UK workers blacklist, that's what I had planned for, like, the libertarian crowd. But there is a bit of news for the Green Party crowd. And that is that the captain of the Sea Shepherd from the Whale Wars. Remember that Whale Wars show? And it was spoofed on South Park. You know, fuck you, Dolphin! You know.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, the captain of the Sea Shepherd now has a warrant out with Interpol.
Ooh. Well, I was about to say...
He is a
what can
fugitive activist from now on.
What did he destroy?
Whaling boats.
Whaling boat, yeah.
That's a
Okay.
tough call. Because, see, the blacklist, you got the whole conspiracy subtext, which could drive it. But,
Yeah.
you know, Whale Wars, that's popular. I mean, you know,
Yeah.
that's a built-in base. I'd go with the Whale Wars.
So basically, it wasn't even whaling boats per se. It was tuna fishermen that would catch whales sometimes, and he was fucking with them. He was fucking with... There was a corporation behind it that wants that tuna. You know, they want that chicken of the sea, and they don't want their boats in the water, you know, sinking. So...
There's like a shadowy corporation behind everything. Holy shit.
Yep. Yep, it's a corporate world. Fuck you, Edward Bernays.
But
You
there
ruled
are no
America.
more. There are no more countries. There's only just corporations.
Yeah, things are very borderless.
Oh yeah, that's very true. I just read today that McDonald's is the 68th biggest economy in the world.
Wow,
that means
is
it's
that
like
real?
all countries below it. They make more money than all the other those other countries.
yeah,
Like its own entity.
if you do things like that, Bill Gates deserves a seat at the UN.
Right.
All by himself.
And he lists his income. Imagine what the people have that don't list it in those like Forbes things, you know, and stuff like that. Because you know that's all voluntary. No one can actually look at your money unless you let them.
I'm pretty sure there was a company that was in the top. No, it wasn't in the top 10. I was looking for a list. Yeah, I think we're kind of fucked to a certain degree. If anybody saw Hannibal Barca's statism video, I was worried right up until he was talking about participating in the political system. You know, we need a government, you know, and he put his little thought experiment with like a huge earthquake or whatever out there. But at least at the end, he did sum it up with part of the reason we have problems in the system is because of problems with people. You know?
Mm-hmm.
Too many douchebags running the show. And Glass-Steagall. Those fuckers.
Oh. Okay.
Bring back Glass-Steagall?
Yeah, that was the beginning of the end. Democrats don't like to hear people talk about Bill Clinton signing that. You know? Just,
What?
you know...
Glass-Steagall?
Yeah. He could have, like, said, no, I'm not going to sign it. You can get more votes. But he signed it. So, in fact, I was watching... I think, Agent saw this. I was commenting in a room because I was watching episode 5 of The Newsroom, which I'm still kind of ambivalent towards. But they actually took Glass-Steagall and used some romantic drama to explain it. And it was pretty good. I was actually pretty impressed. I thought about maybe trying to post it in some way where it wouldn't get copyright matched, but it's probably unlikely. Clip is too long.
Mm-hmm.
The bankers have everything tied up, and they have it all tied up.
Well, they control the money supply, and I think it's House Bill 2990. It passed the House. The Senate was talking about it to actually complete what Ron Paul wanted to do and do a full audit, but the Senate kills everything, and they will kill it. Nobody has any hopes that the Senate will pass this.
Well, what I don't like about what I'm seeing with that subject is Ron Paul, when he was campaigning heavily, he would have these money bombs. And that was a word that he made in order to fund his campaign state to state to state. And people
I've
from...
heard of money bombs.
Yeah. That was his thing. And now, money bombs have been created for the Audit the Fed bill. They were there for the House, and now... They're collecting money for the Senate. And I'm like, what are they doing with this money?
In opposition or in favor?
In favor of it. But
Okay.
what could they possibly do with this money when it's Ron Paul's campaign that's gathering money for this money bomb? They could do ads, maybe. So,
What's he
there's
doing with it? He's storing that shit up. I would.
Yeah.
I mean, fuck. You can tell people. The thing is, I don't like Ron Paul. I tell everybody that. You can tell people, especially young people today, anything they want, and they'll fucking believe you because they're so disaffected by the system that they'll believe whatever the fuck you say. So
That's what I worry about.
So of course Ron Paul's gonna save that money. I fucking would. Hell, who fucking wants to be president when you can just tell people that fucking grass tastes like M&Ms and they'll fucking believe you and give you a shitload of money. Especially
But it does. They
I
got
love tastes
GMO
like
grass
M&Ms.
that tastes like M&Ms. It's true.
Oh,
So-
God.
I would love that.
That'd be awesome. That would be awesome. Yeah, what is he gonna do with that money? I don't know. I'm pretty certain. Hey, every politician wants to have a nice parachute and everything, but I mean, he's not Christine O'Donnell. He's not like some of these other people. He's not Sarah Palin. It's a career to be famous politician.
But he gets a lot of money from it, though. I mean, imagine. What,
I made a joke with some people that the reason why Rand Paul endorsed Mitt Romney instead of Ron Paul was because Ron Paul still wanted to sell T-shirts to his sycophantic fans. And if he were to endorse Mitt Romney, he would never be able to sell T-shirts to those people at all, ever. He would be considered a sell. But when I said the word sell T-shirts, I actually meant that like metaphorically. I meant collect money for different issues, like with money bombs and stuff.
Oh, okay.
I just recently, 2 days ago, got an email from Ron Paul selling a T-shirt. And I was like, I was joking metaphorically, and it's actually happening. Really happily, he's selling T-shirts to the delegates that are going to the Tampa convention, and it's basically the Ron Paul T-shirt, like as if it was a tour for Kiss.
The Revolution logo, right?
Oh my God.
The Revolution logo.
So basically, he's selling the concert tee now.
Right, so you're saying there's definitely a cult of personality.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
If he wants to protect his own interests after his political career to be, respected in that certain fringe group that just they die for him, he could never endorse Mitt Romney. He had to have his son do it.
Yeah. See, you know what I did like? I liked what Ron Paul brought as far as getting some things to get talked about.
Mm-hmm.
Like foreign policy. You saw that before I typed in the window. That's the one thing you don't hear either party talk about is foreign policy.
But that's because you know, it's not a politically a good idea for Democrats to do that. Democrats are extremely afraid of like pissing people off, because when they piss anyone off, especially Republicans get on like Fox News or Rush Limbaugh or like the other thousands of things they own and destroy that candidate. So of course Ron Paul can say whatever the fuck he wants because he suffers nothing from it politically. Because one, no one gives a shit about Ron Paul, and two, he's a conservative anyway, so he gets insulated by that shit.
But the current right can't really go full bore, I think, on Obama when it comes to foreign policy, because they really can't get any further right of him without starting to lose part of their base. So they can really only make these superficial criticisms about the current administration's foreign policy. If they move any further right, they know they're going to start really fucking losing people.
That's true.
So, and plus, what? Come on, he's doing what Bush was doing. You know, got drones, and oh my God, now police departments are gonna have drones, and the FAA recently allowed them to have the little small tiny ones. They're like little model airplanes that you'd never see in the sky.
Rith Randell made a video about how he doesn't really have an issue with the drones. I don't know what his argument, why that was. I know because he's never actually made a video.
He's a creature of the system, and he's in a position where the likelihood of him being at the like bad end of the system is low. So, you know, I think emotionally it drives him intellectually to a particular direction. He makes very good arguments, but he's not one of those people that's really going to be dealing with that stuff. That's my take.
Quite frankly, they creep me out. I don't want drones. I don't want that kind of thing in my country.
But we got to catch them Olympic prostitutes.
Yeah, the terrorists and that sort of thing.
We cannot let the terrorists win.
No.
What was I watching something about the terrorism sites that we have all over the country?
It's called Top Secret America. It was a Washington Post series, and then there's a Frontline piece about it, which is very good. I always recommend it to people. It's called Top Secret America.
And we have centers all over the country. It's like they've sprung up anonymously, very discreet locations.
Yeah, nondescript business buildings, and people don't know that. Oh my God! It goes like 10 stories underground. You just
it's underground and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
And then we wonder why our police departments are being more militarized with their equipment and their methods and that sort of thing. It's to protect. Yeah. I think it's part of it is to protect that, you know, the whole network in case something goes really seriously wrong here.
One of the biggest problems is when you build an infrastructure like that so rapidly, you know, after 9/11, they were farming all this stuff out to, you know, third-party contractors, different companies. They're producing software, security systems, and they were giving top secret and top-level security clearances to so many people. So these people work for these, you know, little mid-sized companies which are owned by larger companies, and there's this pattern of data collection and surveillance and information concerning the military infrastructure and the populace, which is making its way through the companies all the way up to the top. The number of people that work for Top Secret America actually exceeds the population of like Washington, D.C., like Maryland and junk. Because it's all over the country.
Yeah.
Here's something interesting. It's a little related, but it's interesting. I was watching. Okay, fuck it. I was watching Young Turks, right?
Yeah.
We'll forgive you. We'll forgive you. It's all right, man.
So one day, and the host mentioned that. Obama, that in a book that somebody was doing an autobiography on Obama, and that he was actually initially horrified by the signature strikes, but eventually down the line, he's like, yes, and like okay, the signature strikes they were doing. I find it weird because it sort of, to me, paints a picture that he was not initially for a lot of the things that are happening, you know, like the drones, and things, but he somehow comes around to it. I don't know, I just found that an interesting thing to mention because I've never heard that before, that he actually was in opposition to some of the things we're in opposition to, but he just comes around to it somehow.
You mean like killing citizens? Is that what you're talking about?
Like
killing people?
Yeah, exactly. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Bill Hicks got it
That was
right.
interesting.
And there's a puppet video, and he's like, you know, when you get elected to president, the first thing that happens, you get brought into this shady little room, and there's like 10 guys all dressed in suits around a table, and they show you a videotape of the Kennedy assassination from a totally different viewpoint that you've never seen before, you know, basically saying like, we did do that, and we'll do that to you if you don't do what we tell you to do.
Oh God.
Wow.
I think it's interesting. I don't know.
That was Bill Hicks?
Yeah, Bill Hicks. If you look up Bill Hicks and the word elite or elites, you'll find just a little snippet of the puppet thing.
Bill Hicks.
So how conspiratorial are you, Agent? How far do you go?
I'd go as far to say that
he loves chemtrails.
I hate chemtrails. I really I like conspiracies that seem plausibly achievable by human beings. Like, for instance, in order to get people's minds off the fact that there was this huge controversy over the hijab that a judo Olympian wanted to wear from Saudi Arabia. You know, the hijab she wanted to wear was like this huge controversy, and they finally caved into it, right? And then that news is now completely buried by, an Olympic American judo fighter has now been kicked out of the Olympics because of he tested positive for a little marijuana. So
I actually believe that. Yeah,
they work the news
that's
cycle. They
believable.
definitely do.
and the American judo fighter does not know where he might have had any contact with marijuana. He thinks it might have been in his food somewhere, you know, and he thinks he might have eaten it, you know, while he was overseas, you know, trying to compete.
Mm-hmm.
He might have eaten some or something, you know, just been around it. Because some of those tests are so sensitive. You just have to be around it.
You can get a contact high and get busted.
My friend smoked a little marijuana once. I shook his hand, and then when I went to my job interview and they told me to pee in a cup, it's like, holy shit, I have like 100% positive for marijuana.
You'd be okay. The test is for metabolites, so it's actually the byproduct of your body breaking it down. So the marijuana on your hand probably...
That was just a terrible joke. Thank you for making it even serious.
I'm so serious.
Actually, my job, working as a union electrician, my job was to pass
he's not
piss
attractive
tests.
enough.
I used to get sent for piss tests once every 2 weeks, and these were supposedly random piss tests, but because I didn't have to use any products to mask my urine, and they knew that they could just grab me, you know, these companies I would work for would fulfill their requirement to randomly piss test someone by sending me every 2 weeks. And I would be working with other guys who would be taking what seemed to be a mixture of meth and a painkiller, maybe a Loratab, you know, and they were working so hard and outproducing me in every way, you know, and I'm like, Well, it's wonderful that I'm the reason that they have their job, but they're basically working me out of a job because they could really perform on the drugs that they were on.
No, wait, that didn't give you job security?
No, it didn't.
I would be like, oh my god, I would never get rid of you. I would be like, this is the guy that keeps all these other guys friggin' here. They're not ever gonna fail.
Yeah.
We got agent. We'll send him every time. I wouldn't even ask you to come into work. I'd just say, hey, can you paint a cup like once every 3 days for me? And you don't even have to show up.
Could anybody picture agent doing drugs or anything illegal? I can't for some reason. I just can't picture you doing anything like that.
I've had some people who did not believe that I don't smoke pot.
Gambling, maybe.
Yeah,
Gambling?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Actually, it's caffeine. Caffeine addiction has me.
Yeah, me too.
Has me too.
Same.
Speaking of which,
Fuck Bolivia and their ban on Coca-Cola that is going to happen to coincide with the Mayan calendar thing. That's just stupid.
Are they really doing that?
They're getting rid of Coca-Cola because it's a symbol of American oppression. They're
serious?
Yeah, and they also don't have a McDonald's in Bolivia either.
Oh yeah, because
At least
all
they
the
won't
crappy
go
shit Coke did down there.
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't surprise me that they would want to get rid of Coca-Cola.
What did they do?
They down in like Latin and Central America, they did some really crappy shit to workers. I forgot all the details. It was pretty bad. We're talking like, murdering employees, preventing union sorts of stuff. It was pretty bad down
Murdering
there.
employees?
Also because the government was involved. And it was typical corporate douchebaggery. Like, we're in cahoots with the government, and the government would turn a blind eye to what the managers at the Coca-Cola plants were doing.
I just imagine like these stormtroopers, with a Coke symbol on their chest. I mean, that's just kind of the image that I have in my mind when he said that they were murdering employees, and that I imagined some dude with like a Darth Vader helmet in the shape of like a giant Coke bottle. It's like you have to.
Maybe all their shock troopers look like Ronald McDonald.
So a whole bunch of people in the chat have asked me my opinion on different conspiracy theories. My conspiracy theory that I just threw out there that might be one is not that the guy was actually, that he had his food laced with marijuana in order to create a story. My conspiracy theory would be that the media is being controlled to push forth stories that are not really as interesting as the real interesting stories, and they're being paid to push those stories in order to mask what we really should be looking at.
Yeah.
I don't think of that so much as a conspiracy, though.
That would be easily figured out if they were being paid. How would they be paid?
Or maybe the government sometimes gives people these slips that say that's a national secret, you can't report on it. And last year we had the most of those that we've ever had, and every year it keeps on increasing. So, sometimes it's just stuff that the government doesn't want people to know, or know en masse, but really it's not something that the government should be able to keep people from knowing.
Well, you can go ahead and yell at me now, because I'm not voting ever again.
Bob, you need to vote.
Why?
I know, I feel the same way.
Not Bob Chaos, right?
No.
He's a Canadian.
I understand that there is voter apathy out there, but try to think of it this way. You have that apathy because somebody wants you to have it. And that somebody that wants you to have it is profiting off of you not voting.
All right, but
the depression that you have when you think about voting has been caused by someone. Don't let them win.
I can't get my lesser of two evils if I don't vote.
Listen, I understand that there's the lesser of two evils, and that if you write in a third-party candidate, they're not going to win. But there are other things on the ballot that you could vote for.
Referendums and all that.
Yeah,
stuff.
you can have a ballot referendum where you're voting on the law directly. You know, you need to be there for that. There are some times where some people will vote on the laws and they won't vote on the people because they haven't investigated an election that they didn't know that they were going to be voting for, and so on principle, if they don't know who the candidates are, they won't vote at all for that block. But that doesn't invalidate your votes on everything else. Mm-hmm. You can actually abstain from voting for president and vote for everything else on that ballot.
That's a good point.
Where I live, we had major referendums on taxes and education, and we had a higher voter turnout just because of that. People were aware, and the education system is very valued where I live, and people came out just for that I think normally wouldn't have, because they wanted to make sure the schools were still well funded. It was tricky though. It's real tricky. All my friends from high school were running for office for Board of Education and stuff too. It's funny looking their shit up. Oh, I remember when you shit your pants in gym. Now you want to be on the Board of Education. Not bad.
You can shit your pants on the Board of Education.
I mean, we got people who graduated with each other running against each other. It was just pretty interesting election for these two spots.
I still find it difficult to find a reason to vote. I really do.
Seems like such a circus, doesn't it?
Well, I'm not pro everything that both sides are fighting for. I'm not for or against any of them. You know, I think our biggest issue in this country, I believe, is we've sold out to the whole globalization of the world government that I think's coming.
Oh, we've been sold out.
Yeah.
But I think a good reason to go is local politics. If there's one reason, because you know those little elections come up all the time at odd times and people don't know about them. But that stuff hits close to home.
We've got a referendum this month when it could have been pushed.
What global government?
We've got a special election this month just on a hospital referendum where they're trying to privatize a hospital that the city is running, and they could have pushed it to the general election, but the people who have the ability to choose whether it's going to get a special election or not, they know that people will come out for that if they feel strongly about the issue. So they know that they'll get a different demographic than those people who are trying to defend Barack Obama's presidency.
Yeah. So they can work that.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, I also feel guilty because I voted for Bush.
Oh, you should.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're a Republican and or you're conservative, why wouldn't you? I mean, initially you would vote. It makes sense that you would vote for Bush.
So many people vote against their own interests. It's just unfreaking believable. I'm just astonished.
A lot of people do vote for. A lot of people do vote for social reasons.
Oh, those one-issue voters.
I mean, if I was like a conservative, I would and I was very socially conservative, I would probably vote for somebody like Mitt Romney because that person shares my social values.
I see you, Sabella. I see that. Yeah.
There's a documentary called Red State Road Trip. I guess it's from 2005. So it goes all around the country and all these like backwoodsy type
Mississippi,
and shows you like them interviewing people and why they're voting for Bush. It was really interesting. It actually was a really good. You guys should go watch it.
Also, another thing though. Also, a lot of Republicans, especially conservatives, hate liberals, and even though a lot of Democrats aren't liberal, they're painted as being liberal. Like, I mean, there are lots of reasons to why you would vote Republican if you're a conservative, or if
they're
you
bad
have
reasons.
I mean, even if they're bad, even if they're bad reasons, those are still the reasons why those people vote the way they do. I'm not saying I agree with those reasons. Those are just the reasons. Like I said before, if I were like a conservative or something, I would probably vote for Mitt Romney, or the person I felt was the more conservative person, because that person shares my values. And a lot of people do. I'm sorry for cutting off. Go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, I just want to interject, but Mitt Romney is the ultimate flip-flopper. I mean, that whole Etch-a-Sketch comment was really telling, and if you look at his past record with his current record, plus one of his advisors totally made a big gaffe today on TV on Fox News about how he felt about Obamacare, and he's gonna pay for a couple days for one of his people out there saying that he was totally in favor for it. This was in response to an ad that was put out about someone's wife who died because Bain Capital bought a company, then he had no health insurance, and his wife got cancer and died because there's no health insurance. But it's I don't know. It's Romney is just doing whatever he has to do to the people who I think are pulling his strings, so he'll get in the office.
I'm sorry for cutting off. I was about to say this is
no,
true.
Go ahead.
I was just saying this is true, but again, if you hate Obama like a lot of conservatives do, you will vote that way. And again,
yeah.
Oh shit, that was a good idea.
What'd you do? You pay
actually no, I'm playing WoW and I jumped into a meeting at the wrong time or something.
Okay. There is something to add based on the topic we had before with the Germany extending the tax breaks to homosexual couples as well as married people. Their political party, for their chancellor Angela Merkel, has come out. It's called the Christian Democrat Party, if loosely translated, but they're basically the conservative side of their politics. They're just called Christian Democrat Party, and they actually have just changed their view on this, and they're calling for people to be in favor of it. And there is another wing of the party that goes into other countries, and the wing in Bavaria is really pissed off at them.
I love that name, Bavaria.
Yeah.
Makes me hungry.
It does. That's what I was thinking about.
I think part of the problem, with politics, is that we've allowed ourselves to become a religious circus now. And you know where I stand, Mike. I am a believer, but I'm not. I don't consider myself religious. And to force what I believe on someone else through secular means in the government is wrong. I mean, our government should be there to protect our country, defend us when we're being attacked. Have social programs and help people that need help. But other than that, I mean, come on, really? And on both sides of the fence, I don't believe that, I don't believe that evolution should be taught as fact, and I don't believe that Christianity or any other religion in public schools should be taught as fact.
I mean, can you prove that evolution isn't really fact, though? I mean,
yeah.
If you're all right, go ahead. Can you? Because
it's a theory, but it's a damn motherfucking good one.
Well, I would say
seriously,
I would base it on the fact that we just don't know.
Well, we have
absolutely.
We have evidence and transitions of things that prove that it's a fact. I mean, if you don't believe in something, you don't believe in something. But don't sit here and fucking say it's not a fact.
You know what? It's the best we've got. It's the best we've got, and it also leads to a lot of other discoveries and great, wonderful things in physical science. And that's why I think it should mainly be taught in schools, because faith doesn't help me figure out anything else in my physical environment, but the theory of evolution does.
Think about what you're saying. You're becoming just like the hardline right.
It's hypocritical. I know.
It's not hypocritical
I totally disagree.
Because if I sit here and if you sit here and tell me that a fact isn't a fact, then what the fuck? I'm not gonna sit here and believe you. That's ridiculous for me to sit here and believe that.
Evolution is a theory. It's a motherfucking damn good one, and it's got lots of awesome benefits to it.
Yeah,
I can see the argument for someone saying
you have to be careful with what you mean by theory,
because it is so awesome.
I disagree.
A lot of people off.
It's a weapon that's used against the right just as much as religion is a weapon used against the left.
Wow.
Bullshit.
Evolution a weapon.
We have whole sciences built around this fucking theory. This is not a fucking weapon. This is what we use to discover and learn things about the natural world. It's not a fucking.
Here's my point. Do you see how excited? You just?
I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited.
So you base your voting.
But I'm getting excited. I'm getting excited because you're saying things that are just patently absurd, and you're passing them off as if this is some big conversation when it's not. The only person that has the conversation is me. I mean, I'm sorry, but it gets me pissed off when you sit here and try and pass off your opinion as a fact. It ain't no fucking fact.
There's a problem with the way that you guys have been using the word theory. The word theory and law, those words in science mean something completely different than the way that you're using them. And even the non-theists in this call have been guilty of falling into that sort of thinking. The theory of evolution is just a theory, just like the theory of gravity is just a theory. But you know what? We can have reproducible results every time we drop a pencil on our desk, just like we can see things evolving, and we can see evidence of it evolving sometimes after the fact, but sometimes even in our lifetimes there have been things that have evolved.
Okay.
And people will say, well, you've never seen evolution happen in practice. I can point to a plant in Texas that makes nylon, and the ability to eat nylon was evolved in microbes in the lake that they're dumping their waste into. And that nylonase protein that they're eating, yeah, that compound was not on the earth before the 1970s. And yet, we have a microbe that can eat it and digest it and turn it into part of its body. That microbe specializes in eating nylon now. We've seen this, we've seen as much as we can see. There are things that we could not test. Yes, but we've seen evidence for those things that we could not test that would lead us in that direction. And it being a theory means that there are a whole bunch of different hypotheses leading up to it that have not been disproven yet. What I will say, though, is the theory of evolution, although I believe it should be taught in every biology class, just like any other theory or hypothesis in science, you need to tell students that everything that we think we know still has to be retested all the time, because sometimes we'll vary our test just a little bit and we'll find out something new that we didn't know, that changes what we thought we knew. So it is a good thing to tell kids that there may be something wrong about our theory of evolution. There are actually competing theories, like the super mutant theory that says that these evolutionary steps that we see actually don't take millions of years. One little mutant will change everything in an ecosystem very suddenly over a couple hundreds of years, and then you'll see the same ecosystem for thousands of years in the same place. And it works a bit differently than the regular standard model of the theory of evolution. And we should be able to look at these things and say, well, these are competing models, you know.
One's based on faith.
Well, no,
Yeah, but
there's two models that are based on a methodology of science.
Oh, you mean those two scientific models?
You know,
I was talking about the faith thing.
And I would completely agree that the intelligent design discussion does need to happen in school. I just don't agree that it should happen in a biology class. And if we're going to prepare students for basically changing the world for the better and getting along with each other and having everyone in the world loving one another, we do need to have a class where all of these hot button topics are talked about. It should probably be a social sciences class, you know, or, you know, social studies.
I agree.
Not a hard science class. It shouldn't be in a physics class. It should not be in a biology class. You know, unless it's based on a methodology of, you know,
has a very simple methodology. Believing in something.
Well, if they can put their theory that they want to compete through the same ringer, and the same scientific method, then
you're missing my
go ahead.
That's my point.
I got your point, and I agree.
No, you didn't. You just talked over me. See, and you know what?
What is your point?
I'm out of here. See you, Mike.
I'm sorry.
What is your point?
Really?
I think you dropped.
Oh, there's a certain concepts of freedom and stuff that are part and parcel of atheism, and there's this sort of, you know, this sort of like subtext of hypocrisy, you know, and I get that. I get that when people bring that up. I'm willing to own it, but you know, I
think although Bob dropped, he will think about this, and he'll probably be back and have another angle to talk to us about it. But you know, it is one of those things where if he doesn't have that, unless he can shore up everything else about his worldview with another pillar, you know, really quickly, you know, a lot of things can come unraveled if you can't believe in, you know, a literal interpretation of the Bible and creationism. You're going to, you know, if you don't want to become an atheist right away and you're wanting to maybe change just slightly from all these talks on the internet, you need to have something else to support the rest of your worldview if you're going to be talking about evolution, because it does attack a lot of the tenets of Christianity.
Yes, it does. I find the overlap, there's the scientific faith overlap that happens pretty interesting. I love the Christian Anunnaki overlap stuff. The UFO, exopolitics, that the aliens are actually demons. It's so entertaining, and the rabbit holes are so deep. I mean, I'm like a kid in the kid.
I agree with you there. I really enjoy watching those videos. I really do. Mike knows that. I watch tons of them. They really are. It's like watching, sci-fi channel.
Exactly. It is like watching the sci-fi channel. But you know what? Some of the concepts are really interesting. That, in the Bible, there's this concept of interdimensionality, and then all you got to do is pull in someone like Arthur C. Clarke, who's like, no, there aren't any aliens coming here from a bazillion miles away because they'd never make it here. The only aliens would be interdimensional. So then you got to deal with, well, are they really demons that live in another dimension, or are they just plain old interdimensional beings? It's just so much fun.
Or you can do the Tim Leary and say our obsession with aliens, which now when you look at the Mars thing that lands down there, he says our obsession is because we are the aliens.
Well, I will say this for Bob and Rage Quitting. We were in a call just the other day with DPR Jones and a couple other users, and I don't want to single anyone out right now, but there was a really big mouth person who was stepping on everyone's toes and cutting people off in that call. And in this call, we now have 5 people, and that's probably too much. You know, to bring in a 6th and then have him want to interject all the time, but then right when somebody trails off, somebody else jumps in right away. It's hard to do this, and that's why You know, I've had, like, in my call right before this show, when I was just trying to set everything up technically on my computer, I was broadcasting on my own Blogtv, and 4 different people asked me, add me to the call, add me to the call. You know, and you have to be able to moderate in that you when the room gets to a certain size, it can really leave people feeling like they have no ability to interject at all.
Well, it wasn't just him. It was everybody. Nobody could get a word in edgewise. No, I'm talking about the other night in that Blogtv. He was the only theist. He was the only theist in the call. And and DPR Jones was going at him, not even though dominating the conversation as much as this other person was. It was really kind of annoying, actually.
I don't like DPR. Don't like him.
Well, why don't you like DPR? Because he likes kids. Is that why? Because he likes kids. Why do you have to discriminate against him because he likes kids? Everybody likes kids. Okay.
How much candy you got in your house? That's up.
Only DPR knows.
Well, I'll tell you, like, sometimes on these big Skype calls, there are some users that come in that I'm not used to. I'm just used to the fact that they have huge subscriber counts on YouTube. And there's a bit of starstruckedness when I see DPR Jones getting cut off by somebody. I'm like, you know, who do you think you are to be monopolizing the call? You know, that's what I was feeling like. Wow, like every other person talking was the same person. And I was like...
Yeah, I was so glad when he left. Finally, I was just like, whew, thank goodness.
I can be very long-winded. I think Bob leaving, I did step on him. I'm totally willing to take responsibility for it, and I did it again when I said I agree with you. And
that was me too. I'm sorry that I went off on him. That was kind of uncalled for. Sorry about that. Sorry, everybody.
Yeah.
I thought that part was fun. It seemed like he could handle that. It just needed a chance for him to yell to.
And sometimes it's difficult to tell in that specific type of talk if someone's rage quitting because they've hit that point where they just need a mental break to process what you just said, you know, or if it really is all you just stepped on them and you've been rude, you know. And sometimes when you just question the existence of someone's God, they consider that to be a huge insult to their person.
Do you think he hasn't heard those arguments before?
No, he was handling it just fine the other night.
I think
he was doing just fine.
Fuck it, I'm out of here if you're just gonna talk over me. Yeah.
He was doing such a great job, just holding his position, just calmly holding his position as a believer, on homosexuality, and you know, DPR really got upset about that. But you know, like Raw isn't going to be like trying to legislate morality. So I mean, as far as I'm concerned, he can believe whatever he wants, and I don't have a problem with until he does. You know what I mean?
And I'm used to pissing people off the way that I do. I am not used to pissing people off the way that DPR Jones does, because when he was asking Bob the same question over and over again, and that's a lawyer tactic, and DPR Jones is a lawyer. And until he gets the type of response that he wants to elicit out of somebody, he's not going to stop. He's like a pit bull on someone's leg. He's going to get that answer.
I disagree. It's because his brain doesn't work unless he gets the answer he wants. It actually stops him dead in his tracks, and he can't function.
Well, he was very angrily saying, "You didn't answer my question. I want a yes or no answer." I'm like, you know, the expounded answer actually keeps you from mistaking what he means by that yes or no. You know, it doesn't fit well into your flow chart of how you've dealt with every other theist in the world, but it is even better of an answer than yes or no, just yes or no. You know, it has caveats. It's a better answer than just yes or no. But he would come back to that thing and say, no, I just want a yes or no. And, you know...
It doesn't fit on the chart, yeah.
And I understand that you can actually win an argument by doing that, and you can actually pull information out of someone who's on a witness stand that way. But I'm not used to dealing with the ramifications of how rude that is to someone. Because I don't do that. You know, I actually listen to their answer and then deal with the answer that I get and move on. If it doesn't fit my flowchart, well, I'm going to have to make a new flowchart to get them back on track into there. You know?
There also is a rudeness when consistently your questions go unanswered. You know, if you just get a string, because that's what we see in politics all the time. You just got to turn on any news show and they're interviewing a politician and nobody ever answers anything straight or even answers the damn question. And what I would like to see, this is what I enjoy the most. When someone, if it's a yes or no, you get the yes or the no with their little qualifier.
Yeah.
But holding them to just a yes or a no, bad form. Constantly dodging questions, bad form.
We should keep that in mind when we're further dealing with him and other believers. We should absolutely keep that in mind. Somebody needs to moderate.
I'm not a fan of there being just one. I've seen it happen before. Just in all sorts of topics. You know, most people aren't juggernauts and they're going to want to deal with, you know, a whole bunch of people in the opposition.
I get that. My whole thing is when believers do this shit where they'll make it as if it's some argument that's undecided when it's not. It is reality is what it is. Saying it's something else and completely different just irritates the fuck out of me. I mean, I know it just does. I can't help that shit. It's like, stop.
I do. One thing is, most of the physical world we do not know about. There are things that we don't have definitive answers for. I can accept that. Mm-hmm. But for some reason, they can't. You know what I'm saying?
Because I can always moderate for you, Mike, if you ever want me to, because I listen most of the time. So. Well,
I know the people who are in the Blogtv have been watching me listen for huge stretches, you know, and sometimes I'll be trying to interject, and I just get beaten to the punch. Right. And that's why when I have a call like this, let's say like Happy Cabby was in the he was in the crowd earlier. I didn't bring him in basically because we need to keep this a small call if we're going to get anything done. Right. You know, there's Inventor Gorillas, one of the people who's asked to join. I didn't even add JT. That was his girlfriend, but that's cool because she's gone now, and she replaced herself. You know, for everybody who knows the moral of replace yourself and no one else.
No, what is
then
the
she
moral?
Applies. Oh, it's almost an antinatalism thing where biologists are saying replace yourself and no one else. Have like a couple should have at most 2 kids.
I see.
You know, to keep the population from expanding and growing, but it's not going to work because the people who are either antinatalist or they are minimalist in their population growth, they are outnumbered by the people who are outbreeding them, and
the sex is too good.
That outbreeding them is actually going to be exponential from now on until we have a huge war or something.
My ex was an anti-natalist for sure. Yeah, self-proclaimed.
When she thinks that people should have to get a certificate to have a child, that there needs to be some sort of test process.
Can't we test the anti-natalists to see if they're, you know, a little bit touched in the head? They want to test me.
Listen,
they want to test us.
Okay. For the amount of people that we have on the planet, for Americans to live the way that we do, it requires that 2 billion people live in poverty. If we double in population again in my lifetime, that will be all the planet will be able to hold. Absolutely. 14 billion people. And in order for people to keep their same mindset of, I want 8 kids, you know, or 4 kids, there's going to have to be a war.
But you're predicting far into the future.
I'm not predicting that far.
No,
I'm predicting at least at the end of my lifetime.
Just get Soylent Green going. That's all you need.
Oh boy. Ooh, yeah.
I've seen that movie before. It was alright.
I think it's one of the things.
It's made of people.
One of the things I think that internally conflicts a lot of progressives and liberals is reconciling that in order to get the social justice globally that they want would require a major reduction in their standard of living. And I think it internally causes some weird conflicts. And, you know, I've seen it on YouTube when they were talking about the you know, anti-theists versus the atheists. And I'm like, you're going to say that they got to do all this, and that, and you know how bad Walmart is, and I don't see you not shopping there. How much name brand shit you got on your back? And I'm like, you can't hold that line that you hold with the religious, with yourself and a lot of your fellow liberals and progressives. You can't do it.
But I kind of disagree in the sort of generalization. As liberals and progressives, we aren't.
Well, I had to pick a label. I'm sorry. I needed some label.
I don't know. I get
those interested in social justice.
Well, I know in this call we have mostly people who are not theists. You know, we had our token theist of Bob drop. But there is one thing about religions that we've actually found that is more common to all religions than actually having a deity in the religion. And even more common than that is that the religion is a vehicle for progress for the people, in that they're told to have prosperity. And that prosperity is normally telling them to have kids and to have a good life, you know, and to consume. That is even more common in religions than having a god in the religion. So when you have these systems of thought out there that are telling their parishioners, don't use a condom, have as many kids as possible, and prosper, you know, and you want to have a bigger house, you want to have a bigger ranch, you know, and you want to do it all, you know, it's basically a club where everyone's helping each other prosper. If one of them falls down, they help them get back up into this engine of prosperity, you know. That's a problem that we're facing, and atheists can look at this and remove one of the motivations for that prosperity, in that your God is telling you to do it, but still there's the motivation of your friends are telling you to do it, or your social clubs are telling you to do it. And there are religions that don't have a God telling you to do, or, you know, telling you to prosper and build your house giant huge, you know, and have 4 kids.
I think
it's peer pressure.
I gotta keep up with the red Chinese.
Yeah.
I think of it more as a social phenomenon, or a human trait that would most likely manifest itself in another form if there wasn't religion the way we see it today. I think there's an organic formation of these systems of organization for humans, and this just happened to be one that would fill this hole of doubt. If there wasn't religion and we knew everything, it would just manifest itself as something else. That's my take on it.
And prosperity, engines of prosperity, like you know, there's so many self-help books out there that would tell you to do the same thing that these religions are telling you to do, that are leading us to this overpopulation problem, you know. And that's proof in itself that there are different ways to come to that same conclusion, that you need to be prosperous instead of just subside.
The end is nigh. Everyone repent.
But I don't, I'm an atheist, but I think I fall into some weird category. I'm not spiritual, but I'm like, there's all this shit we don't know.
You can be spiritual and be an atheist. Atheism is just a lack of belief in a deity. You can believe in ghosts and spirits and all sorts of wacky shit.
Well, I think I've been following some fields of study for quite a while, like Michael Persinger and some other shit. And I'm like, okay, scientifically they're starting to fill in some of these holes, like a supernatural ESP shit. They're like, okay, it's pretty subtle. Most people aren't going to feel it or see it, but there's going to be a certain segment of the population that will, because we discovered this, But how this information is organized, we don't quite know, And this and the consciousness, these are like my two big things. Consciousness is the biggest. To me, there's no bigger thing to think about than that.
I wish Rush Limbaugh wasn't conscious, but...
Well, what? All his teeth fell out. You just need to get him his supplier back, his drug dealer back.
Oh, shit.
I have to go to bed, guys, because I have a early...
And we did just reach the 2-hour mark.
Yeah.
So
I get ready for my raid to my raid.
Everybody raids. I'm like the only person here who PvPs. I don't understand.
Oh, I PvP. I lost my partner though. Fucking sucks.
All right. Well,
are you planning on ending anyway, Mike? I didn't mean to
I'm just going to thank everyone for showing up to talk about politics and.
Did I do good, Mike?
You did as good as I could have hoped.
That's horrible.
Thank you for having me. I had fun, and if I talk too long, I'm sorry. I just love to gap. Later, guys.
And thanks to everyone who was in the call earlier.
Stopwatch thing or something. I don't know.
I have one. Trust me, I have one. We're at 2 hours, 1 minute, 42, 43, 44. Yeah.
No, I mean for the people talking, like you get like.
Maybe I'll turn it into that kind of format later, but I think we did good.
Yeah, it was fine. Except for the one guy, he got real close to.
That made the conversation so much better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Guys, had a really nice night. I had fun. It's good talking to you.
All right, it was great talking to you.
And everybody in the Blogtv too.
All right,
I don't know if they're listening anymore.
Good night, everyone. Thank you for coming.
All right. It was great. Thanks for inviting me, Mike.